There were people walking through our property that were drugged out.
When Thomas Reinhardt set up his brand new pizza shop in Maple Valley earlier this year,
We're spending a lot of money replacing equipment that they're stealing.
he says criminal activity from a homeless encampment right across the street
Lots of trash, lots of needles.
disrupted his business. And Reinhardt says even after King County officials came by to check on his complaints,
They did nothing.
We have to have a process through which these encampments can be compassionately removed.
right now there's nothing on the books for doing this in unincorporated King County. That's why Councilmember Reagan Dunn says it's time.
Use the navigation teams to connect these individuals and move them.
Framework for Dunn's legislation is still being worked out to create a basic standard for camp removals, which could include RVs. He says right now it's still unclear which agency will come out here to clean these encampments or get the homeless into support services, but is emphasizing it will be done in a humane way. No one will be forced to move if shelters are full.
It is not unreasonable for taxpayers to expect now, with all the hotels and apartment buildings and housing options that have been constructed, that we start to remove folks from the camps.
He's talking about the hotels King County recently purchased that will function as emergency shelters and also provide support services. You've lived in a tent in wooded areas.
Yeah,
right?
it's just downriver a ways.
But not everyone is on board, like Robert Feltz, who's lived in encampments in unincorporated King County for years and just recently moved into an RV. Why don't you just go into a shelter or one of the motels being provided by King County?
Well, when you got possessions, you collect things as you live, Shelters don't typically want you to bring your generator and everything with you.
After public pressure, Reinhardt says the homeless campers eventually moved out. But he says allowing people to stay out here is far from compassionate.
We need to have policies, procedures, and something that enables the county to take action.
Now, Dunn says this proposed bill will continue to be debated in special committee and a vote could be taken sometime later this year. Back to you.
Just last month, Reagan Dunn introduced legislation to the county council to condemn City Hall Park in Seattle. The park next to the King County Courthouse has been overrun by a homeless camp and has been the scene of multiple violent crimes, including a deadly stabbing. Dunn's legislation calls for the park to be declared a public safety hazard, which would allow the sheriff's department to clear this camp. At last check, that bill is still in committee.
Well, guys, some of the numbers we're seeing right now is very similar to what we saw during the second surge of the pandemic last summer in 2020. And while a lot of these health experts are hoping that this masking recommendation will help, they're hoping this will get more people to realize just how important this vaccine is in our permanent return to normalcy. The state of the pandemic in Washington, according to Dr. Nathan Schlicker with the State Medical Association, is a mixed bag right now.
In Washington, we have things to be proud of and things that we can improve.
Because even though over half of the state's total population is fully vaccinated, cases and hospitalizations are on the rise, and transmission of the virus is increasing.
Delta is having more breakthroughs than some of the other ones, and it's exposing an individual to risk that we've seen very effectively masks can work to prevent.
According to the Department of Health, we're seeing cases and hospitalizations rise in nearly every adult age range, and the state's transmission rate, or the amount of people that can get infected by a person who has the virus, was at nearly 1.5 at the beginning of July, when doctors want that number to be below 1. On top of all of this, the department says the Delta variant is now the dominant strain of the virus in our state and can be extremely dangerous for people who aren't vaccinated.
COVID is still circulating. It's still making people really sick, especially folks who aren't vaccinated.
Cassie Sauer is the head of the Washington Hospital Association, who says they're seeing many hospitals dealing with more COVID patients, many of whom are younger adults.
I think there's a lot of frustration among hospital staff of there is a proven and safe, effective way to keep yourself from getting this sick. Go and do it.
The Department of Health's data shows that the case and hospitalization trends aren't going down anytime soon. So the hope is this indoor masking recommendation from the CDC will help limit the spread and help people realize the importance of these vaccines going forward.
Certainly a scary situation for these drivers. Out here this morning, a driver and his passenger shot, and it happened right up here on I-5 northbound, headed up through Kent. Two men in their 50s shot while driving to work right about 1 o'clock this morning. The men were headed northbound on I-5 when they were shot just as they approached the exit for State Route 516. State Patrol tells us the driver took bullets in the shoulder and collarbone, his passenger in the arm. Both taken to the hospital, State Patrol towing the SUV to collect evidence. This is scary, and if it sounds familiar, this is not the first time that we've had random highway shootings in King County. A total of 11 shootings reported in Burien along State Route 509 back in 2018. That included one shooting that blinded a 14-year-old. A special task force investigation went on for months without any arrests. The two men shot today tell State Patrol that the gunfire came from a blue station wagon with dark tinted windows. Those men also telling State Patrol that they believe a crossover SUV may have also been traveling with that blue station wagon. So anyone who may have been out here driving at that hour this morning knows anything about anyone involved in this situation, the blue station wagon or that crossover SUV should definitely call State Patrol and share that information.
And Denise, it's been a violent year so far in King County. The prosecutor's office says deaths from gun violence are up 48% over the 4-year average. People injured by guns up 65%. 85% of those cases involve men. And the prosecutor's office says people age 18 to 24 make up 70% of the victims. 80% of them are also people of color.
Accused of pepper spraying a young child and his mom inside this elevator at Seattle's Pike Place Market. The suspect told police she did it because she was concerned about the COVID-19 Delta variant.
KOMO's Tammy Mutasa talked with the victim tonight and has the suspect's extensive criminal history in this Operation Crime and Justice report. Tammy?
Mary, that's right. I talked to that mom tonight, and as you can imagine, she is still so shaken up. She wasn't comfortable giving any interviews, but that suspect is still locked up in the King County jail tonight, facing felony charges, including assault on a child.
That poor mother. I mean, that sounds so traumatizing for her and the child.
Am I going to die? That's what a 7-year-old boy asked officers, court documents say, after he and his mom were pepper sprayed in this elevator at Pike Place Market.
Assault of a child in the 3rd degree.
Investigators say Cesarina Slape attacked the family, claiming they weren't wearing masks, and she's high risk and very concerned about the Delta variant.
We understand that people are concerned about the Delta variant, but you can't attack people who aren't wearing a mask.
Detectives say the little boy and his mom had gotten on the elevator with Slape, who was pushing a stroller with a bottle of bleach. They heard the 32-year-old woman mumbling and swearing to herself. When the mom asked her if she was okay, police say Slape responded, "If you talk to me again, I'm going to mace you," then pepper sprayed them.
A mom who's going to pick up her child from daycare shouldn't be concerned about being pepper sprayed in the face and having her 7-year-old son sprayed as well.
We digged into Slape's record. She's had 21 arrests, ranging from disorderly conduct to theft. Plus, she has 3 prior convictions from the King County Prosecutor's Office.
That's what we took to a judge and said, we think this person is a serious public safety concern.
Hey, everybody, I'm Eric Johnson from KOMO News. Thanks for checking out the KOMO YouTube channel. You can see more of our videos right here by clicking on the video links for more news from the Seattle area and all of Western Washington. And don't forget to click the subscribe button below so you don't miss our YouTube updates.